Your father works very hard for his money, and you waste it all on records.
Oh, hey, Colin. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Not a flip phone?
Yeah.
Don't see many of those anymore. Does it work?
Yeah, it gets the job done. Hey, what's going on, man? What are you doing here? December here?
Oh, God, no. This place is right next to the place where I get my mustache grooming supplies. I was out of the shea nut butter swooping wax.
Wow, cool. Hey, listen, hot off the presses, new single.
Good luck selling those, my friend. Listen, the days of just traveling around in a van and playing shows is over. These days you gotta communicate with the people. You gotta barrage them with constant all caps updates about your albums and your shows. You gotta tweet it, you gotta Instagram it, you gotta Facebook it, you gotta Tumblr it, you gotta Blorf it.
Blorf it?
It's a new app for December, it's releasing in July. It's gonna change the way thinking people think about ordering the faux bacon infused vegan donuts at 2 a.m. Listen, if there's one thing I've learned as a veteran in the business, if you want to sell something, you have to make people believe it's going to make their lives better, that they can't live without it. And you have to have at least one celebrity cameo in your videos. Rock and roll, Carrie Brownstein and Peter Buck, Tiny Harding, some members of New Shoes, Order Flash, and James Mercer, and Damian Lillard, and they're having a wine throwing party, so...
Colin, thank you for the advice.
See you, Bob.
Bob. How you doing?
I have the great pleasure to introduce Bob Mould. When we were planning this conference and we found out that Bob recently moved to Berlin, he seemed to be the perfect artist, especially because he's been involved with vinyl ever since he started his career 40 years ago. And he's also, once his band Husker Du really took off, it was during the CD era. When that took off, your albums are still in stores now on CD. I recently bought the Deluxe 25 Workshop release. And his band Sugar, actually big commercial success, and he's had a successful solo career for the past decade or so.
Busy times lately.
So Bob, why don't you tell us what physical media has meant to you personally and your career?
Yeah, I thought what might be fun to talk about is not from the technical side, but maybe from the spiritual side of what vinyl meant to me as a person, as a musician. I was born in a small farm town in upstate New York in 1960, so I'm 58 years old. I remember 3 years old, and my grandmother brought this object to me. It was this big object and this big piece of cardboard, and inside of it was this big piece of plastic. And it was the soundtrack to a movie called Around the World in 80 Days. And I'm 3 years old, I don't know what a movie is, but as soon as we put this piece of plastic on this machine and it started to go around and it made this sound, and I instantly knew what my calling in life would be. I was going to need to make this music thing that was coming out of this piece of plastic. My grandmother used to take me to the department store in the small town that I grew up in. I think you have Woolworth here, it's similar to that. And they used to sell records at these department store. And I would get to buy 2 albums each year. So, I think I started with Rubber Soul, and then Revolver, and onward. Moving ahead a couple more years, my family moved, same town, but across, we moved from an apartment to a house. And attached to the house was a grocery store, like a Späti type, for the people in the neighborhood. And so we would sell beer and cigarettes and, meat and cheese and milk and everything. So the people in the town that I grew up in, the company that sold cigarettes to my father's store were the same people who would fill the jukeboxes with 7-inch singles. So when they would remove the singles to make room for new music, my father would buy the used singles for 1 penny. And so I had these big boxes of 7-inch singles. And by this point, I'm 7, 8 years old, and I understand what's going on. I know how these things work in music, and I would just sit as a child and all day and all night just watch these 7-inches spin around on this small record player. And I would memorize the label copy, how long every song was, who wrote it, who the publishing company was, all these things. And as a child, it was just hypnotizing, just captivating. It just kept me alive as a child. And I started to learn how to write songs, and then I learned how to play guitar, and then I started a band in 1979 called Husker Du. But, it's, to me, I know that a lot of you are here for different reasons. You have different jobs inside this industry about vinyl, but just, from a small kid's perspective, that was magic. That made my life complete as a child. And, it's been so encouraging for me to see over the last number of years, last 10, 15 years, younger people coming back to vinyl, different ways to take that magic to people, because, call me old-fashioned, but I don't find a lot of magic in that icon on a desktop. You touch it, and if you don't like it, you just throw it away. It's to me, vinyl, it's an investment in this magic that we all make and we love. As a kid in college, I had to take a bus 1 hour across St. Paul to Minneapolis to the record store so I could sit and look at and read music magazines and look through 7-inch singles. And as a poor college kid, making that $2 investment on that UK Subs single or whatever it was, those are that's the magic of it, is the putting the investment and the time and the learning about music. So I guess that's where I come from as far as vinyl goes. Without it, I would certainly be dead. So it's really important to me, and I just wanted to sort of set this up to let you know that journey. We make music, you make vinyl, or you're involved in the production end of the industry, but it's really about these physical objects that come with this beautiful wrapping, and it's large, and you hold it in your hands, and you read the words, and it's this experience that, portable music is wonderful. I use that as well, but I think having an object that just has all that power in it, it's really, really important. It's this thing that sits and it spins around. I've never heard anybody say music makes the world go square. It sort of makes the world go round, because that's how we equate music with, movement and circular pieces of plastic. And CDs, but you couldn't really see it spinning because it went in this drawer or so. But it's really important to me. It's it truly is magical.
All right. Ready for a song?
No, we should ask me.
All right, well, I have a question. So you
have one song. So.
You were also a label owner.
Yep.
A singles only label.
Yes.
Tell us, what led you to start that, and what you were looking for from the bands that you decided to release.
In 1988, my first band, Husker Du, ended as a that was the end of the band, and I was living up on a farm in northern Minnesota, like very remote, no people around. But I still had some friends in New York City, and they, as a way to try to keep me engaged and active, they said, why don't we start a 7-inch singles label? And we put out some cool stuff. We did that Kurt Cobain, William Burroughs single. I still have, and bands used to send like demo tapes. I remember this band called Shake Appeal sent me this demo of the song called Son of Mustang Ford, and they went on to be, well known as a band called Swerve Driver. I think I still have the letter with the demo tape from Manic Street Preachers when they were looking for a label to put out their first single. So it was real important to me. That was the second label I ran, actually. And before that, in the Twin Cities, I had a label called Reflex Records with the drummer Grant Hart from Husker Du, and he and I put this small label together and released music from other small bands in Minnesota. So, the 7-inch back then was such a great way for bands to, it's just 2 songs, but it would be such a great introduction, with less of a financial commitment than an album would be. So,
what brought you to Germany?
What brought me to Berlin? I've been coming to Berlin since, I guess, the mid-'80s. As a touring musician. It's a wonderful city. I love cities that have good trains and buses, and you can walk everywhere. Berlin's, it's changed a lot in the last 30 years, but I am certainly enjoying my time here. It's been a really great source of inspiration. I wrote most of my newest album, Sunshine Rock, while living here in Berlin. sort of influenced by the seasons and by just the spirit of the city. So it's, I've moved around a lot as a musician over the years, but I've been, here in Berlin for 2.5 years and just got renewed for 3 more years. Thank you, government. So it's, so it's been great so far. Everything's great here. And today to be able, in this room and this building, excuse me, has been, it's been quite a great history lesson today as well. So.
Yeah, Bob really has technical chops. He was drilling Reinhardt over at Emil Berliner, and he was also talking with the HD vinyl guys right before the last session.
Yeah, that was, there's some fascinating technology coming up with, with vinyl production, and that's, I sort of keep to my side of the fence. I'm the one that makes the stuff that you all put on the records. So it's sort of like, but I do, I have been in cutting rooms most of my life watching people cut the groove for my records. So it's been a great afternoon so far. What else we do? Does anyone have any questions about my work or anything? We could probably open it up if we wanted to. Yeah, anybody got? Oh. Yeah, hey, hi. Yeah.
Minnesota.
Oh yeah, excellent. Nice, that's great. Oh, thanks for that.
Minnesota. Quick question though, as an artist, we talk about digital, we talk about physical format. As an artist, how do you feel about the digital? I mean, do you feel like you have to have it all? Would you think about just releasing physical first?
Yeah, great question. I have a bunch of answers for that question. As a consumer of music currently, I don't subscribe to streaming services. I listen to radio stations because I want to put my trust in DJs as much as I can. I like listening to local radio. And if I hear a song that I like, I will buy a digital version of the song or an album. And if I love the album, then I will go and I will buy vinyl for my permanent collection. So that's how I consume music. As far as a creator of music, I still view the art form as 40 minutes of music. 2 sides. You start with this song and you end side 1 with a song of importance. You begin side 2 with a song of importance, and you end the album with an important song. So I still make albums as if they are only going to be on vinyl. I tend to mix my albums for vinyl. They always sound better on vinyl because the physics and the science of it takes away, it smooths out the very sharp top end that on CDs my music sounds a little too like that, whereas on analog it goes like that. It does this thing in my ear. Digital is great, but it's very wide, whereas I think analog is very deep. The lows are richer and more coherent, and the top end gets smoothed out a little bit. So I tend to still mix music with albums in mind, which, I think they all sound better on vinyl. So that's a bunch of different answers. Did that cover it? Okay, great.
Other questions? I actually have one question. The video that we just showed, that's basically what this conference is all about.
Yes.
So I stumbled upon the video and I said, this is perfect. Now, you were saying that you actually shot that at a record store day?
Yes, poor Terry, the owner of an amazing record store in Portland, Oregon, in the USA. It's a store called Music Millennium. And I've been friends with Terry, the owner, for years. I was making a number of videos with a filmmaker in Portland, Oregon, and I came up with the idea about, sort of making fun of the disposability of digital music and how important the 7-inch would be. So we actually shot all of that footage inside the record store on record store day. So it was a complete madness. The whole day was insane. but it gave such great spirit to the video, and yeah, I mean, these are again, it's the magic part, right? We really try to make it real and, you know, make it special for people. Come on, we got questions out there. Yeah, hey, there's somebody way in the back. Yeah, there's it.
Hi. The way you said you consume music, in my personal interest is, do you believe that there is need for these deluxe formats that we create with lots and lots of t-shirts, posters and cards and everything, these huge box sets? Or do you think it is really just down to the quality of the individual vinyl that you want to have?
Well, I think it all starts with the music, and you know, as an artist, you focus on the music first, and when you have a number of songs that make, and then you think you have an album, then the objective is to make a coherent album that starts to finish, you know, as an album should. All of the things that you mentioned, you know, t-shirts, posters, box sets, things like that, if the music is not good, there will be no audience for those things. So the music has to be good, and then those are sort of extra things that I think, you know, the marketplace tells us. You know, if I go on tour, if people are like, well, where are the t-shirts? Then, you know, it's like, oh, I have them right here, or where is the vinyl? You know, box sets, I mean, that alone suggests that someone has had a successful series of records in order to make a box set, because a box set of nothing is of no interest to anyone. So I really think it's, you know, it's about the music first, and then any sort of extra items for sale. I think the marketplace tells the artist or the record label what is needed. I mean, I don't write albums thinking about t-shirts. It's after the record is done and maybe people like it and there's a tour. So, I mean, it's all about the music first. Everything else is extra, and the audience tells you what they want, so.
But as an artist, I know that you've been successful in your career, but if you just had it released on digital, could that be a business?
It would be a business, but maybe not for the artist. I think in this day and age, you know, people with, you know, I mean, I guess in America it's very much a Netflix and chill, you know. Give me everything ever made in the history of mankind for $9 a month. It's not a sustainable model. It's working right now. I'm not sure it's working for me. I think it works for people who have streaming services. I don't think it's working so well for record companies, and maybe later this year we'll see how everybody wants to handle that situation. I am a firm believer that if music is free, it really doesn't have any value. I am, again, old-fashioned. I make that investment of time and energy and passion. That's what made it special for me. Now, you know, music, I think over the past 35 years, and especially the last 25 years since the advent of the internet, and, you know, music distribution used to be controlled by the music business. Now it's controlled by ISPs and, you know, content providers. So, you know, the music business is simply now, you know, grateful to be able to make content to give to somebody that it can be part of something else for free. It's sort of like, it's an add-on. You know, music used to be its own art form, and now it's part of a video game, or part of a movie, or part of a commercial, you know, so as an artist, I feel like, no, it would be nice if you invested in my work. because I, as a fan, always invest in the work of other artists. Even if I'm going out to shows, somebody in my position, I can call up any club and just walk right in, but I always call and say, is there room for me on the guest list? I'm happy to pay. I just want to go to the show. So, it's hard. I think I think the beauty of vinyl, the beauty of what we all do, whether we make music for vinyl or we fabricate vinyl or we sell vinyl, is it's a piece of art. It's a humble piece of art. Let's not make it too important, compared to art. But it's really important. It's important. It's something that everybody can have and enjoy, and I think it really should have a value and it should have a price. I really believe in that. And even with my most recent album, the last time I looked, 40% of the sales of my new album were vinyl. So that's 2 out of every 5 people are willing to spend good money to support me, to support Merge Records, my record company, to support the record stores that pay the shipping to get the vinyl from the factory to their store. I mean, I'm grateful that there's still people that believe in the magic.
The other 60% is CD?
Is CD or streaming equivalent, whatever that is. There is no equivalent, but anyways.
Just a question.
Oh yeah, another question. Yeah, that'd be great. Okay. Oh hey, hi.
You told us that when you imagine to produce an album, you think like you do 15-minute backside. So you used to do that to have a good quality. How can you imagine to involve young artists or labels to think like that? Because they used to make 1 hour. This is maybe the problem. How to keep a good quality, no?
Understood. So, I guess what you're asking is how do I convey this message to young artists, and also how do young artists find an audience that would buy vinyl? Those are two different. I mean, in this day and age, it's very, very hard. I think in order to get noticed, I think a lot of artists are happy to give their music away, and I understand in this day and age it's very hard to create a name, with your work. It's so competitive, there's so many people, and so many people are willing to give everything away. So, and maybe for young artists, they give away music with the hopes that it gets them an audience that will buy tickets and t-shirts and things, which is how we all make our money as musicians these days. I know my methodology, my ideas are old-fashioned because I come from the days 40 years ago where that one single would get me $1 at the record store when I was on tour, so we could get them to buy 25 singles, so I had, the band would have enough money to get the tank with gasoline to get to the next city to sell 25 more records. That's not a practical model anymore, so maybe some of the ideas I have are not practical, but those are the ones I grew up with, so those are the ones. I think there's still something of value to that idea, again, asking people to pay a little bit for the art that you make.
For our friends who are still making CDs, last night Michael Hosp, I think you coined the phrase injection molding.
Look at that. I don't know what's that. Oh my gosh. Anyways, I don't know, Larry. Have we covered everything? I mean, I feel like I'm a much better storyteller than a musician at the moment, but I'd be happy to play a song if that's...
Yeah.
Just we're going to go 5 minutes to set up. You're welcome to watch. that this part is not magic, this part is just setting things up, so. So we'll do that. Thanks again for listening to my long-winded explanation about what music and vinyl means to me, okay? We'll set up. Sounds nice. Anyway, so I'm going to play one song before we all take a break. Thanks again for coming down. And let me play a song. It's a book, it's a movie. Oh my God, it's everything. It's called See a Little Light. There's music in the air, like your voice coming from somewhere, but the much sweet grown here. Like this I should have known. Alright, as years go by, they take its own on you. Think of all the things you wanted to do. All the words you suggested could. That's a long time ago. You didn't think I'd really go now. Are you waiting? I'm not liar. You're waiting to say goodbye. Are you ready? I know why. Well, I see a little light. I know you will. I can see in your eyes. I know you still care. If you want me to go, should you say so? Yeah. Oh, now, well, I see a little light. I know you will. I can see in your eyes. Know you still care. If you want me to go, should you say so? Yeah. Oh, no, you still care. You want me to go. Should you say so? Yeah. Oh, now, well, I see a little light. You know you will. I can see in your eyes. No, you still care. You want me to go. You say so? Yeah. Oh, now, well, I see a little light. It's true. You still care. Why did I call you to say something? Alright, thanks so much. Have a great rest of the week, okay? Thanks so much. Take it.